together because someone showed us how to empower ourselves and to make things happen. And so those are the fondest memories I have out here. All the families were fantastic. And yeah, we didn't know much about downtown. But you know, one nice thing was you never had to lock a door here. Right. You know, nobody worried about breaking in a house or doing anything else. It was just, you just lived. And you had fun. And you could go up and down as many hills as you wanted. You could go to the tunnel. And all the tunnel was a box culvert under the freeway. That was the tunnel. But it was fun. We had fun. I'm glad I grew up. I stayed in the Reno area. I've been here for 66 years. And my wife Jan and I just celebrated our 50th anniversary. And and so we thought we'd move to Hawaii when I retired. Well, the only thing I did in Hawaii is I kept going and I bought a ukulele. And now I play the ukulele every day. So it's a fantastic instrument and I love it. So. All right.
I'm his younger brother. I'm JoJo Townsell. And I'm actually going to give my sister something to share with everybody since she's been dying to do this. She tries to do it every time she can, but one of my fondest memories here was, well, we didn't have cable television out here, so we only had 3 channels, the network channels, 2, 4, and 8. So I'm the youngest of 7 with 2 parents, and so having access to a television to watch what I wanted to watch was not going to happen. Okay? The only time I had a chance is Saturday mornings, cartoons. I get up nice and early, cartoons would be on 6, 7 in the morning. I get a chance to watch before everybody would wake up. And once they woke up, well, cartoons were over. So I'd go outside and I kept the cartoons going. So I was really into the superheroes, all the Marvel characters, those type of things. Superman, Spider-Man, Batman. And we'd have a front porch that's still there. So at the front porch, I'd use the shadow of the sun. And so I'm flying here, and I'm spinning webs there, doing all sorts of stuff. So I'm gonna get the microphone back, and I'm gonna let my sister kind of tell the story that she remembers about my time on the front porch.
Well, actually, you weren't on the porch, you were in your bedroom. And I always had to help my mom do the laundry. And we actually ironed the t-shirts. Right. And after we did finish with the laundry, I was going back to the room to put the boys' clothes up because the boys had the back of the house. I opened up the room and I could hear all this noise in there. No one's in there but JoJo. And I could hear all this noise. And so I opened the door to peek through to see what was going on. He's in full motion, running for the wall. And he tries to jump up the wall. He's Spider-Man. And when he saw me laughing at him, he got pretty upset with me about that because I couldn't believe that he was actually thinking he was going to climb that wall.
I was mad because you're stopping the show. Right? Don't stop the show in the middle of the... But anyway, yeah, that was one of the things. The moral of the story is I still watch my cartoons. I take power naps every day. What I watch Spider-Man, I watch Batman, I watch all that stuff. I got my own digital collection, so I'm good to go. But the real thing was being raised here was, again, we all just enjoyed just being outdoors, especially summertime. Mom and dad, hey, we don't even want to see you. And, we'd be outside. The only time we'd come back is either for some water or for some watermelon. was about it. The rest of the time, we would not come back. We didn't even want to go into the house until, the sun came down. And so that was a blast, being able to just have that kind of openness and just that much fun with the neighbors and all the kids. We all just got together and we figured out a way to just enjoy ourselves. And we had a great time. And also too, with that being said, our families, we were a community. Everybody raised each other's kids, and all in their own little way. And you guys all know, we probably were the first people that actually trimmed trees around here, because back in the day, going back to the old school, there were times when we did stuff that we should have done, and so we had to go cut a little branch off and show a little discipline. Parents would give us a little discipline, and so, but I gotta share this story that was probably the best time that happened is, one of the things, I used to play a lot with Brady Garthan, Billy Lobster, Bert Williams, and whoever else would come around, and for some reason we'd always play baseball over at the Carthens' house, because they had just like a nice little L-shaped lawn, and it just kind of worked like the baseball field, and it worked better than going to the baseball field here, because that was all dirt, so at least we had grass and we could work it out. But I used to call Mr. Carthen Mr. C. But he would tell him, Mr. C would always come and he'd come home from work. He was an airport attendant. He'd come home every time he sees us playing ball. Would y'all go over here? I don't want you playing ball in my yard. Okay? So this one time, of course, we ain't listening. We're playing. I throw a pitch to Brady. Brady hits the ball, boom, right through the window. Okay, so all we're doing, we're like waiting, okay, we can't hide this, waiting for Mr. Carthen to come home. So, comes home, Miss Mayla tells him what happened, and so all of a sudden we all were there because we knew, we were going to leave Brady, all by himself and everything. We were just as much fault as anyone. So, our parents, they all worked hard, man. I mean, they did all they could to make sure we had food on the table. I remember our mom on Fridays, we look forward to Sunday dinner, but on Fridays, Mom would go to the Arctic Circle, a block from the UNR campus, and she'd go and buy 20 burgers, 15 fries, and 10 drinks. That was Friday dinner. See y'all later, okay? And it worked out good back then. That was back in the day where burgers were only 10 cents. She said, Friday, I'm not doing anything. I'm just preparing for Sunday dinner. But anyway, Mr. Carthen came home. He saw what happened. And so he went to Brady and said, now, didn't I tell you not to play baseball here? Of course, Brady said, yes, sorry, Dad, sorry, Dad. And so, Brady, go chop a little branch off the tree, please. So Brady wouldn't chop the little branch off the tree. We all knew what was going to happen. Mr. Carthen, he said, y'all stay right there. Because we thought we all were going to get it done. Okay, but Mr. Carthen worked long hours, and that day he was just extremely tired. So he sat down, Brady brought the branch to Mr. Carthen. Mr. Carthen looked at him and said, boy, I'm tired. Whoop your own ass. So Brady's like, what? Whoop your ass, boy! Mr. Carthen sat down and just watched him. So Brady, he's up here. Mr. Carthen said, harder! And Brady said, and we're trying not to laugh. But again, needless to say, we never played baseball there ever again. But again, but it just kind of showed, obviously, incidents like that was about love too. Okay, and just a way of showing love and just the love that just brought us here today. And something that we all shared. It's wonderful to be here with everybody and just reminisce like this because this was just a beautiful place and this is my home and it'll always be my home and I just love being in this area and I always will be in this area because again it's my home and you guys make it that way. So thank you.
Hello, I'm Carlos Carthen. I'm 5 of 9. There are a couple of stories that I have that I remember. Therma brought up the hog. One day it was just we were told that they were going to slaughter the hog, and so I believe it was Mr. Jones who finally got the hog down. I remember Mom was in the kitchen washing the dishes, and I was just crossing into the kitchen, and she starts screaming like crazy. And I look up, and I can see through the window, Mr. Jones had the hog head right there in the window. And she was scared to death. She didn't know what it was. And then I brought everyone in and looking at it, we started cracking up laughing.
He did that to everybody.
Did he?
Yes, from Kevin Dodge. Everybody. He brought that pig head in there. I was watching TV.
Another story was, I remember just riding the bikes up and down the streets, running through the yards, and I remember the first times that we used to play baseball, we had that empty lot next to the house on Eugene Street. And I think we finally had to stop playing there when someone hit a long fly through Wagner's front window. And that's when we had to start switching because we were hitting too hard. Let's see, other stories. Well, there's the tunnel.
Whatever it was on top. No. Singing in the bus.
I don't remember singing in the bus. I don't sing. Well, I had some other things, but suddenly I can't remember a thing. So.
That's elders.
Yes.
That's what you got. Mom, do you want to tell? Well, I'll talk for my mom. This is my mom, Carrie Townsend. She's I found out Miss Finley, Essie, is still alive. Now, Essie moved out here in 56 when Mom and them moved out here. So, but she's very ill, so she couldn't come. So there's only 2 originals left out here, and this is one of them right here, my mom, Carrie. You go get it to camera, Mom. But now, one of the things that I want to bring up that everyone here should know about, and that's the tunnel. I have a really good story to tell about the tunnel. We went out there all just us girls. We used to go with the boys and the girls. This particular day, it was just us girls. It was me, Deborah, Skeeta, Sharon, Ella Mae. Was that it? No. Carlos didn't go, it was just us girls. There was no guys that day. We never went to the tunnel without the fellas. This particular day, we went without the fellas. Anyhow, the way you went into the tunnel was a barbed wire fence. One person would stand there and hold the barbed wire up while everybody else went through. And then at the end, of course, the last person would hold it up for that other person. Well, this particular day when we went to the tunnel, I think I was the first one through the wire. And you were second. I know you were second because I get inside the tunnel, and usually when we get in there, we run all the way down to the end and jump off, or just, you know, hang out. When I went inside the tunnel, there was like this guy standing at the end of the tunnel. You couldn't see his face, you just saw the male figure. And Deborah came in through the wire, and she came walking in. Then the guy turned. And when he turned, he had a horse's head and a man's body. You guys remember? Anyhow, I looked at Deborah, and I said, Deborah, do you see what I see? And Deborah's like, I don't know. I don't know. Anyhow, we came to the conclusion we were in danger because there had never been an adult at that time. So, anyhow, we come running out of there, we spring, and we came running out of there, and I think we all went through the barbed wire at one time. Nobody held it up. We went through that barbed wire, and we ran all the way home. And that particular day, we went to the tunnel from you guys' house. So wherever we left, whose house we left, we'd go back to that house. We're running full speed, mountains running. We get to the very end of the hill right here, and Miss Sharon, just like in most scary movies, she falls. She can't get up. We're gonna tell you different. This is what happened. She couldn't get up. And so she's trying to be this brave person, and she's like, you guys, go on. Save yourselves. Me and Deborah stayed in the elevator, looked at her, we looked at her, and we got back up and we took off. But we were going to get help. We came to the car and we got Beverly. And Beverly came down there and she carried Sharon back on her back up that hill. With no shoes. We gotta keep that. We didn't wear shoes back then. So it was no shoes. You gotta think going down the mountains. I'll let her tell her side.
So the way the story went for me was when we went to the tunnel, the boys went with us. That was Carlos and Brady. I don't know that Brady was there, but I think it was,
Junior used to go.
no, the little Maurice and Dwayne were there. And so we're playing in the tunnel and having a great time, and then we all sit down at the end. Now let me tell you where the horsehead lady really comes from. This one right here, because she's telling a story out here about a story she heard from Fresno or something, and we're sitting around, and it's starting to get dark, right? And as the shadows start to fall, Helen screams, "Ah, I see the horsehead lady." Now she's telling us the story, and then she sees her. So everybody jumps up and they react, and we're all running. And so I remember Deborah and Carlos hit each other, and I tried to run and I fell, and everybody was just running over me. So, and then they turned around and looked back, and of course I said, "Go ahead, save yourself." And so who actually brought me back and helped me was Carlos and Deborah. One of them's bleeding from the forehead, right? And someone's, they don't remember, but I know they're holding me up on both sides. And Helen M. ran to get Beverly. I can hear her mother yelling, "Helen!" Maurice and Dwayne ran off home because it's dark and we're not supposed to be out here. And then Beverly comes down to help and saves.
I'm Deborah Lobster. Okay, let me tell you. See, there was 5 of us. Me, Helen, Sharon, Ella Mae, and Skeet. Helen
was scary all the time. We would be in a room and she would see something and we would all get scared and nobody's seen it but Helen. So when we went to the tunnel and she said about the horse-headed lady, you know, we kind of looking around like,
But nobody would think.
no, because we know she when you told her you didn't see what she said she would get crazy. Yeah, and she started running.
So what do you do when somebody runs?
You run. But that's for us, Helen, we would always spend times together. And Helen, I remember one time we were at her house, and we were at our house, and Carlos and Keith was in the window. And Helen thought she seen somebody in the window. And she got scared, and we all flipped out, turned over beds, and all kinds of stuff trying to get out the room because they in the window. She's seen everything. Very, very, very good imagination. No, the one thing that I remember when it was Halloween, Mr. and Mrs. Carthen was the best Halloween people in Black Springs. They would have their house, it was scary as I don't know what. And then they would because that would be the last house that we would go to, is Carthen's house. Because we know they had something planned. They had something planned. And I remember this time we was coming down, they was right over there, we were coming down the street to Kennedy and coming in the yard, and Mr. Carthen jumped out of behind the bushes, behind the flower, and scared her to death, and she ran all the way to the house.
I don't remember those. I just want to share another memory that I have about Paulette. Now, Paulette, who was you singing with back when we went to Tahoe that time? She was singing with Mac Davis. And every time they would come to Tahoe or Reno, Paulette would let all of us come up and visit, and we would usually go and party all day or whatever, and sometimes if we were old enough, we could get into the show. Most of the time we weren't old enough though. But anyhow, this one particular year, we went to Tahoe, and we went to the beach. And it was just like kind of boring just sitting on the beach. So I said, you guys, let's get a raft and let's get out in the water. Mind you, can't none of us swim. But they got life jackets. So we agreed. I even paid for it, paid for the raft and everything. We were out there having a ball. And then we had a person with us, remember Jerry? Jerry said, don't you guys worry, if someone falls over, I can get you. I know how to swim. Okay. We're still out on the raft. The water's getting rougher and rougher. And we had a little time before we had to take it back, and I told Beverly, it was Beverly and Skeeter, who else? Just you two? Yeah. They went back out on the raft. The water got rough. And just like Gilligan's Island, the water got rough. Anyhow, in slow motion, the boat tipped over. And Paulette, you could see them going into the water in slow motion, and I mean, you knew they were screaming with their mouths wide open. My immediate reaction was I ran for the water. And right when the water touched my feet, I realized I couldn't see. Then I look over at Jerry, and I'm like, Jerry, get out there and help him. She takes off her socks, her shoes, her this and that, and then she gallops to the water, jumps in, comes straight up saying, ooh, this is too cold. So she didn't make it out there. They're trying to get up on the boat, and the boat's steady turning and knocking them back down. Finally, we saw these fine dudes up on the docks, muscles. and we started yelling for help. And those dudes dove off in that water, and they went and got Paula and Mosquito, carried them back in, and I do believe you didn't get to perform that night, huh? Oh, you performed that night? But of course everybody blamed me for that too. They were like, if you hadn't got the boat, you know. But as far as the scary part, I was a little bit scary out here, just a little bit. I did not like the dark. And as soon as the sun went down, it would be pitch black. Like Thurman said, from here to that door, you wouldn't be able to see the person. And in fact, when I would be at Sharon's house or Deborah's house, and it was time for me to go home if it was dark, they would walk me home. I was not going alone. And then I would call my grandmother and my mom and tell them to turn the porch light on. Because when those guys stopped running, I'd take off running. When you guys stopped walking me, I would take off running. Yeah, I mean, it was really scary out here back in that day. At nighttime, it was fine in the day. Don't let the sun go down. Come over, Grady, I know you got a memory to share.
Yes, I do have a memory to share. Just listening to all of you, I just, it's so wonderful to hear. I guess my mom and dad would say they considered themselves poor at the time. And me being, my name's Brady Huff, and I am 9 of 9. I'm the last, I'm the baby. And I never saw poverty growing up here in Black Springs. I didn't think we were poor. And if we were, I didn't know it. Me, Billy, Bert, Jerry, Judge, none of us experienced poverty. Because, well, I mean, with the clothes situation, I had hand-me-downs. I had Kevin and Carlos's clothes, their shoes, but even when I going to high school, I needed cleats, I needed a glove. I asked Mom, and sure enough, a week later, it's right there. I don't know what they had to do to go through to get those cleats and gloves. I was very appreciative. But one thing they did say, don't you lose that glove. They would put special emphasis in not losing or don't mess up your shoes, don't wear the bottoms out, and that's probably why a lot of barefoot people walking around here, because as soon as you came home from school, you took the shoes off, so you didn't wear out the soles of the shoes. That's why a lot of people, go without shoes, because the shoes we wear, we use for school. And yeah, I didn't know poverty. This Black Springs is a wonderful place to grow up as a kid. Absolutely wonderful, because I mean, you can't 14, 15, 16-year-old kids, or 13, anywhere from 12 to 16, they didn't have all this space to run around. I mean, as a 13 and 14-year-old, we went to Tapapila. We would travel almost every weekend. Me, Billy, Bert, and Jerry would get our bikes, drive to go all the way down to Upper Stead. They had a store there that had this. It had a baseball game, but it was a flipper. It was one of those ones, that baseball game that it's got the bat and a little ball would come out of the chute, and you press the bat at the right time, and then it would hit up on a ramp and go through a hole that says out, double, single, home run, grand slam. And it was Brave Bull Saloon, I think, something like that.
Yeah, we would, every weekend, that was our goal. Get on bikes. All the way out there to stay. Yeah, not to mention, yes, Dad was the one that started that. You can catch a jackrabbit if you run fast. Yeah, you can catch it. Yeah, and he just sit there. And then we go out there and you turn around and see him just go, and just laughing his butt off, you know. And we would. We'd do it. I kind of, I guess, learning from my brothers, I developed this creative mind when it came to sports. The basketball court. There were times that we would put the little trampoline in front of it, and then we had a dunk contest. Watching Michael Jordan, all of a sudden we're doing slam dunk contest, right? We did that for a time, and watching flat track racing on TV.